Take the BTC matter, the telco matter. The PLP has had the nerve and the gumption to say that we are keeping secret the sale of BTC. We told the Bahamas from day one that it was not possible for us to continue to have a monopoly in the telephone business. And we established all sorts of policies to prepare ourselves for this eventual day. You know, before the time of the F&M, you couldn't buy a telephone in a shop in the Bahamas. That's right. All telephones were BTC's telephones. You can only rent them. Now everybody who want to sell telephones and cell phones can do it. There was no Vibe, no Wattage, no Indigo, no Skype or Stripe, whatever they call it. One radio station. People on cable. Now I catching help from people as far away as Rumkey and Rhode Island. What happened to my cable? There are hundreds and hundreds of people employed in the communication sector of the Bahamas who were not so employed before we began the liberalization of telephones, the telecommunications sector in the Bahamas. And we have been methodical in our approach towards it. The Bahamas has gone to bid twice, public bid twice, for the sale of BTC, twice. Spent lots of money, invited major telephone companies from anywhere in the world to come forward. On both occasions, the bids that came in were totally unacceptable and were rejected. And of course the Bahamas was not prepared to sell at a fire sale for BTC. The PLP, just before the last election, agreed to sell it to some person. You know, Chicago reminded me this morning, you know, normally in the Bahamas, you find a Bahamian fronting for a foreigner. They agreed to sell to somebody who some people think was fronting for some of them. But the reality is, election came. They never told the public a single word that we've agreed to sell the telco. Not a word. On the same day that we agreed and signed, we announced it to the public. Same day. Not the day after. The same day. They never told the public a word. And if it wasn't for the election and the winning of the election by the F&M, things would be different today. Instead of me being condemned by some people for what we are now doing, quite frankly, they ought to stop and think. They ought to applaud us for saving them. I made the point earlier about doing the best you can. The president of the union, Mr. Evans and others, are making lots of noise. And making lots of threats. Of course, you know, that don't get no the other day. They're making lots of threats. But sometimes you have to consider whether or not what you did was the right thing. We went out of our way to protect jobs for people who are at BTC to your disadvantage. It is in the interest of the Bahamas for the cellular service to be liberalized, but I remain for there to be another cellular company in the Bahamas in the shortest possible time. Takes, I haven't got two cellular companies. And they ain't got as treated for me now. They ain't got as many people as Abaco. We got one. We have one, and we are charging rates that ain't charged in other places, higher than other places. I heard one of the union presidents say the other day, say, all that has to happen is for Hubert Ingraham to call down the telco and say, reduce the rates. Yeah, reduce the rates to 500 a year. It follows night follows day. The rates are high because we have more people employed there than they live there. And you have people who are seeking to protect what they have to your disadvantage. Has nothing to do with whether I'll be selling the cable and wireless. They don't want to sell, period. Because there's plenty of juice there for them. And we want you to have more minutes for your $5. In fact, many of you have no idea how much money you spend for cellular service. No idea. Everybody put down $10 to buy a damn chip. You start adding it up. You start adding up how much you spend on it. We think that you are spending a disproportionate amount of your money on cellular service. And we think it's being done to sustain a few people to the disadvantage and at the expense and cost of the many in the Bahamas. Now, if you love them more than you love yourself, I mean, even the Bible tells us to love our neighbor as ourselves, not more than. And so if you love yourselves as the population of the Bahamas more than you love a few people who are working at BTC, then you will stand with the government. You know, secondly, while the government owns BTC today, the Bahamian management of BTC has a proposal for the government for them to let go more than 300 people from BTC because they say they are overstaffed leading into privatization, which we haven't done. Secondly, we wanted to have an exclusivity period for cellular service for only 2 years. PLP agreed to give it for 6 years. For 6 years. For cellular and landlines. 6 solid years. We only want it for 2 years. But the company said that, yeah, if we're going to buy, and you'll have only 2 years, we want to be able to disengage up to 30% of the staff within as soon as we take over, virtually. We said we can't have that. So we negotiated a deal that says, fine, you can have it for 3 years. You offer a voluntary disengagement package, so those who have entitlement to pension and others who would like to leave can do so, and that you would not terminate anyone to downsize the company for at least 2 years. Now, in doing that, it affected the price we pay, we get paid for it, and affected how long you will still pay higher than you should. Because as soon as competition comes, cellular rates are going to drop right down. We did that for the benefit of the employees of BTC. Apparently, their union leadership don't appreciate that. They don't appreciate that. But we do good because that is the right thing to do. Not because we expect for some people to ever appreciate what we do. The reality is that the union and the PLP are at one in their fight against this exercise. And you can figure out why the PLP, which agreed to sell it to a one-man show, is now opposed to selling it to a $2.5 billion company. A company is operating in 30-odd countries in the world, that is publicly traded. A company that when it buys equipment for the Bahamas can get the price it pays for equipment in Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad. It has bulk purchasing capacity, has management capability that provides opportunities for Bahamians to not only manage in the Bahamas, but opportunities for Bahamians to also go elsewhere in a major company. Why they would be together in opposition to the sale. We think we know the answer, and over time we'll tell you more and more. But the truth of the matter is that those who are employed with BTC and elsewhere in the public sector, I wish to caution them not to follow the current plans of the president of the NCTU, and also the president of the BCPOU, Mr. Evans, Mr. Dawson, Mr. Evans. Because when you walk off your job, if you do, there's no guarantee you will come back to that job. Jobs are scarce. Jobs are hard to find. And no one is able to stop you from biting off your nose or cutting it off to spite your face. That's your face. But at the end of the day, you ain't gonna have no nose. That's a judgment you can make. You are able to decide, I want to cut this off. Don't like it, that's okay. But at the end of the day, you ain't got no nose. And so I'd like to say to you here in Grand Bahama that we are proceeding to do what we think is the right thing for the Bahamas to do. We are convinced that the Bahamas will be better off in what we are doing. We don't like I don't like everyday people cussing me, and they can cuss me anyhow, but I don't like to make them cuss me. I like to make them cuss me. And so I really seek to do this because we are absolutely convinced that this is the right thing for the Bahamas to do. And quite frankly, we also need the money. We need the $200 million. We cannot continue to borrow and borrow and borrow to sustain the jobs of all of those who are in the public sector. We have to sell some things to help us. And one of those things we're selling is an interest in BTC. And when we sell it, we're also going to sell shares to you, the public. To make sure you can get dividends, so that 49% of the dividends will come to either the government or Bahamians individually. Those of you can buy shares, more profits for you, the public. We'd like to have a share-owning society. That's why, some of you in Grand Bahama own shares in the Freeport Power Company now. Some of you just get dividend. Who own it? The F&M made them do that. Some people in the Bahamas own shares in Cable Bahamas. The F&M made that happen. And Bank of the Bahamas, the F&M did that. And so you're going to own shares in that big liquor company, Boyne's House and them, and the F&M is making them do that. Our duty to you is to, as far as we can, empower you, create employment, create opportunities for you to go into business, and also create opportunities for you to own more and more of your own economy.